Him don't hate me, him don't judge me, him only love me. Tread like Jesus, oh I forgive you, hope you forgive me too. It's only love, tread like Jesus.
Hey everyone, it's Mackayla. Welcome to the Soundtrack of Our Lives podcast. We're going to jump right in with the two hardest questions of all. Who are you and what have you been up to recently?
Hi, thanks for having me on. I'm Don Rodriguez, and I'm a music producer, and I own a independent music studio, recording studio, record label, and music publishing company just outside of Las Vegas, Nevada.
It's a lot of hats.
Yes, yes. Well, they kind of all go together. You know, if you're an independent artist, which I am, then you suddenly figure out, okay, well, I don't have a label, but I need a label, and I don't have a recording studio, but I need a recording studio, and I don't have a publisher, which is the most obscure of all of the three things that you need. And so then I just became all of them. To give you a little bit of background, I'm a 20-year entrepreneur. This business, I&I Music Studio and I&I Music Publishing represent businesses 9 and 10 for me. And so I've had a few failures, but I've also sold a few startups of mine that are still going today. So I'm proud of that. And then, of course, I have my core businesses, but really I'm kind of like in a semi-retirement stage of my life, and I've shut everything else down just to focus on music for the rest of my life.
What made you decide to focus on music?
I was becoming a person that I really didn't care for, to be
hmm
honest with you. And over the last 25 years, I've just been on a journey of sorts, but really culminated in the last 5 to 10 years, where you know when you start a business, it's fun and it's exciting. I happen to be a high energy guy. I have a really high work ethic. I'm always going, kind of, hard to shut my brain down.
hmm
And over a long period of time, it just became something where I didn't like the person that I was. Um, it came to a head in 2024 at the dinner table. My family and I, we have Sunday dinner together, and my son said, who worked for us at the time, he says, I think the new company policy is that dad doesn't talk to customers anymore. And I first thought, I'm like, wow, this kid's got a lot of call. But he was right. He was right that I was just very jaded. And so I needed to take a step back, and music had been my passion. And over the last same period of time, I had built the studio that you see behind me. And it began as just as a jam session studio for me and my friends. And then we turned it into a rehearsal studio that I leased out to other people to use very rarely, and then converted the entire thing and built sound baffles and all kinds of stuff and rewired the entire studio for recording
hmm
engineered masters, which we do now. So
Wow, that's quite a shift.
yes, it has been quite a shift. And you would think that there's not a whole lot of things, because the core of my business before was construction, real estate development, commercial real estate development.
hmm
And so you would think that not a whole lot of things transfer from that real estate development construction world to recording the music industry, but a lot does. I'm very task oriented,
hmm
timeline oriented, and so I find myself really pushing artists over the finish line to get their recordings done, to get their masters done, to get their albums done. So it's become a strength. I'm very organized like that, so I approach it a very methodical way of, all right, you've got lyrics, do you have chord progressions, do you have a bridge, do you have an intro, do you have an outro? And so it works that way. And I find it to be very effective, because artists tend to be kind of butterflies floating on the wind a lot.
hmm That's awesome. So, do you like who you are now?
Oh yeah, I've always loved who I am.
Oh, good.
The world has a way of changing you if you let it.
hmm
And so this was my way of saying, no, I'm just not going to go down that road. I've always been a quick study, and I just thought, we could keep getting bigger and bigger, and the payroll could keep growing, and I could just keep adding pressure, and I could continue to be, kind of a monster under that pressure. And
hmm
I didn't I didn't want that. I didn't want that for my wife. I didn't want that for my family. And to be clear, there was a certain amount that's necessary as a father. At least I'm Generation X, so at least I felt so.
Hmm.
In that I was raising three kids, and so 2024, pardon me, 2025 rather, also represented my youngest graduating from high school.
Hmm.
So there was this whole big thing of like, okay, I don't need to provide all of this for everyone at all.
Yeah.
My other older kids have already moved out. They're out on their own, living their lives, doing great. So that was a big part of it. So a lot of it was necessary, like I said, because I was raising a family and a man's got to do what he's
Yeah.
got to do. But now I'm like, okay, let's take the foot off the gas pedal and enjoy some better things, better parts of life, and spread some love and some joy and some happiness.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're able to do all of that.
Me too. Thank you.
Is it difficult when you're making your own music to then switch and help somebody else make their music?
No, no, as a matter of fact, I thoroughly enjoy it. Most of my day today, I've been working on these two Christian mantra albums for one artist. She recorded so many, we're going to have a two-volume album.
Wow.
And yeah, and it's not exactly my genre, but music is its own language and it's so fun. And I really like getting out of my genre. I also just completed a Kundalini yoga album.
Ooh.
And that is with the artists right now, the yoga instructors that I work with. With their review, there's 21 tracks on that. So so you can see and then my particular genre is more Latin country style, and so I bounce around a lot, and I find it thoroughly engaging. It makes my brain work. There's a lot of things that work and that cross over. Just late last night, I was listening to um, some some soulful pieces that came from. There's an entire album that James Brown's backup singers made
Hmm.
in the 70s, and it's a great album, but man, they bring in so many different flavors back in the 70s of different cultures and different sounds. And so I really like doing it. I really like crossing, sound barriers.
Do you have genres that you tend to mix more into your own music?
Definitely Latin. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, and I grew up with Selena and George Strait,
Hmm.
Willie Nelson. Those are big influences of mine, and the Muppets. It's another big influence of mine. And so you'll see a lot of jazz, a lot of Latin stuff. If you're familiar with some old 70s bands such as George Clinton or James Brown or Sly and the Family Stone, um, a lot of groove, a lot of percussion, a lot of bass driven stuff. That's what you find in my music. And I do like to drive music that way. Um,
That's awesome. Those are some
yeah,
really good influences.
thanks. Yeah, I think so.
I hope you think so if they're your influences.
You go with what you know. You go with what you know.
Hmm.
I just did a small concert the other night where I performed a song called Happy, Healthy, Wealthy, Wise, which is like my contribution to the Muppet music world. So that's fun too.
Yeah, so for somebody who's kind of just stepping into a music studio and to, work on their first album or first song, what advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, don't be intimidated, right? You're going to come in and you're going to see more expensive equipment than you ever have in your life, all in one place, probably. For artists, I know this, and from my younger days, hanging out at Guitar Center all the time, you see the price tags, and you're like, okay, someday I'm going to own that. When you walk into a studio and you see everything you've always wanted, it can be a little intimidating, but don't worry about it. It's all good. The instruments are here to be used, to be played. We specialize mostly in those heavy old things called instruments. We don't do a lot of MIDI production here. I do have some MIDI devices, but I mean, they're all dusty. We just don't use them too much. We're still playing guitars and drums. I have a fully mic'd drum set, congas, bongos, tambourines, shakers. We still do everything by hand here.
Hmm.
The other thing I would say is there's about two or three types of musicians just right off the bat. Just know that there's people that can read sheet music and they know theory, and there's people that play by ear, and then there's people that kind of a hybrid of both. I find kind of being a hybrid of both is the easiest. I play by ear. I do not read music. Of course,
Hmm.
I'm going to be biased, but I tend to find that the people like me that play by ear and do not read music are very intimidated by the people that read music. But what I've come to find out in the last year of launching this studio and being here full time for a year is that those a lot of times those people really can't play outside of the music you put in front of them. It's bizarre to me. I'll say, let's go, let's do a shuffle in D, G, A, D, real simple. And it's like, all right, well, let me write that down. I mean, listen, to each their own. I'm not being judgy. I'm just saying,
Hmm.
don't be intimidated because everybody has their thing. And you may play by ear and they may read, and it's fine. Everybody will figure it out. There's commonalities between the two where the ear players and the sheet readers get along and they can make music together. So don't be
Hmm.
intimidated.
That's very good advice.
Thanks.
So going back, you've been doing this, you said full time for 1 year. What advice would you give yourself when you first kind of started going full time?
Well, you know, I'm a go-getter. I'm a deep diver. And I guess it's hard to say, but I would even tell myself to slow down if it were starting again right now, I would tell myself slow down, even though that seems odd because I feel like I'm pulling my feet through concrete. Um, it's just good products take time.
Hmm.
And there's music that's been rushed and there's stuff that ideas and you really have to develop them and make sure they're good before they go out, especially now in a world that is so content driven and there's so much content. It has to be. I see low quality content every day, more and more of it, and I am thankful because eventually cream always rises to the top. Some
Hmm.
things are never going to change. The principles of good products are never going to change. And if you've got good quality content or good quality music, it will be heard. And that is the real challenge in today's music industry, is being heard.
Do you have any advice or, yeah, I guess advice for being heard in today's music industry?
Um, no, because I don't think any of us have cracked a code. I think you'll hear about an artist being discovered at Claire's, and then you see Justin Bieber being discovered on YouTube, and then there's the labels that are always pushing their people, and they have their A&R people out there looking for new artists all the
Hmm.
time. But um, I'll just say this: focus on being heard because that is the core challenge in today's music industry. Anyone can make music. 10 people I know, 10 people have home studios.
Yeah.
Making music is not the problem. It was when I was a kid.
Hmm.
I dreamed of being in a studio like the one I own now. But that's not the problem anymore. Anyone can make music today, quite frankly. I just saw a study released or a stat that was released last week that 106,000, on average, 106,000 songs were uploaded to streaming platforms each day in 2025.
Wow.
Yeah, that is 10,000 songs. I'm sorry. Yeah, that is a million songs in 10 days,
Hmm.
right? So your single that you're about to release, even if you're on an aggressive independent artist schedule, like once a month, a new single once a month, and that's aggressive.
Hmm.
Even if you're doing that, keep in mind you are one single among 3 million new singles that month.
Yeah.
So all of your focus has to be on being heard, finding your audience. So put all your focus on being heard. You can create the content, the daily stuff. I mean, I know all the gurus are saying, oh, you got to release daily, you got to be daily. I mean, I got burned out.
Hmm.
I'm not going to play the game. I mean,
Yeah.
but I've always been a kind of zigzag. When they zig, I zag. I've always kind of been that way. And so if someone's saying you got to post every day, I'm like, okay, good. I'm not going to post every day. I'll let everyone else do that. So, but just keep in mind, do what you do, but being heard is the number one objective right now. Being
Hmm.
heard.
Yeah. I think it's crazy how much music there is out there. It's almost overwhelming.
hmm It is overwhelming. So to if you're an independent artist, to fight the overwhelming sensation, just remember that the key is to find your audience. It's a new world. There's 8 billion people on earth, and they all listen to music, and they're all have access to everyone else's music. I was just listening to a band in Romania that I really, really dig. Um, so so it's not about, so when I go back to saying being heard,
Hmm.
keep in mind that what you're trying to do is find your audience. It's the people that like your music. And that's why I think independent artists get discouraged, is because we'll
Yeah.
share with all of our friends and family, but all of our friends and family like different music. So maybe, we find 3 listeners among our friends and family that really like our music. Well, that's because genres are very diverse and so are
Hmm.
people. So what you really need to do is get out of that circle and funnel all of your attention to the people that like your music, and try and find your audience. There's 8 billion people. You just
Yeah.
need to peel off about 1 million to 10 million of them and you're set. Me too. So
Yeah. Easier said than done, though.
that's right. That's all the work. I just described all the work of it. So good luck.
So, with somebody who is, such a go-getter, what advice will you have for people who kind of struggle to stay motivated all the time?
Action. Action. Just do it. Nike said it in the 90s. Just do it. It's action. And my father taught me that even before Nike came out, which I'm grateful for, because it was always reassuring. That has always been, if I have any secret, which I don't, but it is that take action every day, do something. And even if, I've heard young people say to me before, oh, I don't have much to do. I only have this and that to do it. Because if you work on the little that you have right now, when the all the big stuff comes in and floods you'll have that off your plate. If you procrastinate that, you're going to have all the flood and the other stuff and you won't be
Hmm.
ready. So every day do something. Always take action. Just do something. Get out of bed and work towards something. The universe will respond to you when it sees you take action. But doing nothing is literally the only thing you can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Especially for a songwriter, it's so easy. Go sit down in a coffee shop, find your characters, start writing. Um, I find a lot of creativity on water. That's been my personal experience. I believe that water is a gift to creatives. Get on the water, get by a stream, live flowing water next to the ocean, a lake, something like that, and the creativity will start flowing. If you're stuck, find water, is what I say. Otherwise, work on your mixes, work on your music, um, work on your bridges, try some key changes. I mean, no one's doing that anymore. Again, we got to be heard.
Hmm.
So key changes in music was a thing for a long time, and then it stopped like in the early 2000s. And try that.
Hmm. So, you mentioned songwriting. What does a songwriting session look like for you?
For me, I write in long form. I usually write about 2 or 3 pages a day. It's more like
Wow.
journaling for me. And I'll take about maybe a week or a month's worth of writing, not so much a month, maybe a week or two. And I'll go back and I will highlight different things in there. And from
Hmm.
the highlights, I'll pull out what I call a one pager. This is my system. I'll pull out a one pager of lines. And then from those lines, will come some stuff usually. But me, it just depends, um, there's 2 types of songs. I don't know if you've ever heard this. There's 2 types of songs for songwriters. There's downloads and then there are developed songs. In a download, for us, what happens is the entire song comes to us just
Hmm.
in one download. And I didn't make up that word. I'm stealing that from Lenny Kravitz. He did a podcast and he called those downloads. And I've gotten downloads, and every artist that I know has gotten downloads. The whole song comes to you, melody, harmony, lyrics, everything.
Hmm.
Downloads are wonderful because now really my job is just to translate what I'm hearing in my head onto these instruments so the rest of the world can hear what I hear, and then we're all happy. The other kind of song is a developed song, concept song, and in that, the writer comes up with a theme or a concept that he or she wants to write about, and then develops some chord progressions and some lyrics. And that is much more, well, difficult for beginners,
Hmm.
difficult for me anyway. I get stuck quite often, I find myself waiting months for lyrics, and that's fine. Be patient. At least for me, I'm just patient with myself, and I let it come. There are some Nashville writers that I know of. I don't know any personally, but I know of that spit out music and lyrics and stuff all the time. I don't know how they do that. Maybe they've detached from the emotion of the song, perhaps. Um,
Hmm.
but at least for me, I'm still engaged in all the music that I write. So it comes with a creative process. So
What would you say with somebody who's kind of struggling to create that song? And you said, having to wait long periods of time for it to come to them.
talk to people. I was stuck on a song last year called Instead of I Love You. I wanted to write a song um, that it was about a marriage from the edge, and the concept that I had in my mind was like, okay, I know that we have problems, but because we're so busy, let's just put them off and talk about them another day.
Hmm.
And so I was going on that theme, and I was stuck. I had some pretty good lyrics, and I had a chorus, and I thought it was sounding pretty good, but I just couldn't piece it all together. So I talked to my wife about it, and she says, "Well, I don't want you to lie to me. If there's a problem, I don't care what's going on. We're going to talk about it. We're going to solve it."
Hmm.
So then when I did that, it shifted the entire song, and then everything fell into place very, very quickly
Yeah.
and became a song for me. So I would say talk to people, even if you're not open like I was and saying I'm stuck with these lyrics.
Hmm.
Talk to people, drop some stuff about, hey, what would you do in this situation? If your song is about something, and people will tell you, they'll give you good stuff. And I like to people watch. I like coffee shops for people
Oh, it's
watching.
so fun.
Yeah, and you get a lot of interaction between people, and that's where a writer finds little subtle descriptions of things instead of saying hold my hand. They come up with different things. It's in those coffee shop scenarios, in my opinion, where you find those little things that are subtle differences in the way humans interact with each other.
Hmm. Yeah. Coffee shops and people watching is so interesting.
I agree.
It's so fun. Like you could spend hours doing it.
I know. I do. Probably
It's
too
such
many.
like a relaxing thing to do. You get so drawn into like other people's like lives and what's happening, especially
Hmm.
if you can overhear the conversations.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah. Tell me about you. What do you do? It's just your podcast, or you're podcasting all the time? Are you a full-time podcaster?
No, I wish that's the goal. But I also work full time right now at a senior living facility.
Oh, that's
I
great. God bless you.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I do activities, so it's a lot of fun.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
I spend my day in, as you can imagine, bingo, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. God bless you. That's good work. Very
Yeah, it's
fulfilled.
it's fun. It is very fulfilling. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. Because I know it like as your music has an impact on people, I know that my work also has that impact.
Yes. Yeah, it really does. Just brightening somebody's day, I mean, it makes all the difference. And I think more people should examine, what it is they're doing with their lives. Not necessarily, with your work life like yours. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be that. Um, I went to a craft show, a Christmas craft show one time, and I saw these family of snowmen, these crafted snowmen, and they all had these smiles on their faces. And I told my daughter, I'm like, see, somebody made these snowmen and they put these smiles on their faces. And now when we see them, it makes us smile.
Hmm.
And so that is just an example of that simple spreading happiness. And
Yeah.
so someone purposely did that so that other people could be happy. And so, I know that sounds maybe cheesy and cliche, but in my world, I really do feel that way. Just what are you doing to spread joy and happiness around the world? Because, I mean, if
Yeah.
we watch news all day, it's very depressing and
It is.
not going to make you happy.
No, that's for sure. I mean, they don't always, sometimes they share the good stuff, but I feel like a lot of times they're just trying to get people to stop and watch, which is all the bad stuff.
Yeah, it's hard. There was a news channel on YouTube, and shame on me because I don't remember it, but Jim Halpern, that's all I know how his name is, the guy from The Office. He had started a YouTube channel that was like the good news show, and he only
Mhm.
broadcasts good news. I don't know if it's still going, man, but I thought that was, I should have patronized that more. Shame on me. Like I said, I'm going to go check it out later. But that's what we need more of, like someone broadcasting good news.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome.
So, before I ask the last question, was there anything else you want to mention or talk about today?
Um, no, no, we've hit so much. Thank you. I hope I didn't ramble and babble. Let me think. Is there anything I want to talk about? No, no, that's it. I
Okay.
think so. Yeah.
So, our last question is, what is the soundtrack of your life?
You mean like 1 through 12 or something, or like a specific song you're thinking?
It's however you want to answer because it is your life.
Thank you.
I know that doesn't help.
Yeah, no, no, that's okay. I've always resonated with Frank Sinatra's version of My Way. It just it's always resonated with me. I've lived very much that way, my way, and I've paid the price for it. There's a saying in my business because over the years, 20 years of being an entrepreneur, I've kind of come up with my own phrases.
Mhm.
And one of them is education costs money, and that means that one way or the other, however it is you're going to learn, it's going to cost you money, whether it's tuition or dollars out of your pocket because you made mistakes. But either way, the education costs money, so it's kind of like one of my universal laws. Um, so you know, it's hard to say. I would probably say, my way, either that or there's a song by George Strait um, called Cheyenne, and it's about a guy who's on the rodeo circuit. And I don't know if you know how the rodeo circuit works, but it's like kind of like NASCAR. They have
Mhm.
events all over the country, and cowboys have to follow the events on the circuit, and so they leave home for quite a bit of time. And so the song is about this cowboy who's trying to make the rodeo circuit, and it's not going well. So then he calls, his significant other, his wife at home, I suppose, maybe his girlfriend. He doesn't say it now that I think about it. But anyway, he calls his wife at home and says, I didn't make the short list, which is, the next round up.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to come home. And she says, don't bother. And without, I'm moving on. It's been too long. It's a beautiful love song. But anyway, without missing a beat, he says, okay, I've got to go because if I hurry, I can still make Cheyenne, which in rodeo terms, what he's saying is, um, thank you for telling me and being honest. And I really got to hang up now because since I'm not coming home, I'm going to rush to catch the bus to Cheyenne, Wyoming, which is the next rodeo spot.
Mhm.
And so that one's always resonated with me because of that. I've always had that attitude of in business and in relationship. So I don't take a whole lot of things personally. I do, but you won't see that side of me.
Mhm.
I'll just say, okay, thank you, and I move on quickly, very, very quickly, disturbingly quickly.
That's a good soundtrack. Both good songs.
Thank you.
So, for any of our listeners who want to stay updated on you, learn more about your studio, where can they find you?
I'm sending everyone to our YouTube channel, which is the I&I Music Studio. It's all spelled out. The I&I Music Studio. That's our hub for all of our content and all of our music. Here out of this studio, we represent independent artists. And here on the stage behind me, as soon as we get 1,000 subscribers, which is free to subscribe, as soon as we get 1,000, we'll be able to monetize our live stream and concerts here. And so we're going to host independent artists here on this stage, and they're going to raise money for their singles and albums that they're trying to record because, as you can imagine, it's expensive,
Mhm.
especially nowadays. And starving artists get that moniker for a reason. They're known to not have a lot of cash on them ever.
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna do. That's our contribution to the independent music world is we have the capacity, we have live streaming cameras here. I'm on one of them right now, and all of my gear is wired to stream, great audio, mixed audio. So we're going to host bands and artists right here and let them put that out there and raise some money for their careers.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see that happen for you guys.
Thank you, thank you. So yeah, visit the I&I Music Studio on YouTube, and you can find us on Instagram as well. It's I&I Music Studio. TikTok is the same. Facebook is the same. And our logo, which is probably featured, it's a pretty iconic. You can see it behind me in the background. Just look for that logo. You can't miss it. I mean, I get a lot of comments on that all the time. Oh yeah, I saw your logo. It's unmistakable. Well, that was what I was going for.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Thank you for having me on. I feel honored. Thank you
Of
very much.
course. Have a nice rest of your day.
You too. It's a pleasure meeting you.
You as well. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Him don't hate me, him don't judge me, him only love me. Tread like Jesus.